Hey, what's up everybody? This is Sega Man back here with another video. This is why they call me the Sega Man. I've been into Sega for a very long time. Like I told you guys before in a recent video, my very first system was a ColecoVision. Before my grandmother passed away, she bought me a little TV and she bought me an Atari 7800. At that time, Nintendo was out and I couldn't afford a Nintendo. My mother couldn't afford a Nintendo. It was expensive. So for my birthday, before my grandmother passed away, she got me an Atari 7800 and my first color TV. And I enjoyed the shit out of my 7800. And I still have my 7800 today. And it was a great system. But why they call me the Sega Man is because I have most of my collection is Sega. The second most collection that I own, believe it or not, is Xbox. Xbox OG, Xbox 360, and of course the Xbox One X. So what I wanted to tell you is the reason why I've named myself Sega Man is because Sega is near and dear to my heart. They had a lot of mature games for that time for the hardcore. I'm not saying that the Super NES or the NES wasn't great systems, okay, and they didn't have really sweet games, but to me, in my personal opinion, Sega was the better system because it had more hardcore games, and I think they were more innovative, if you say back in the day, because you had the 32X, you know what I mean? I have a Sega Nomad. Let me show you my Sega Nomad. A Sega Nomad was a handheld Sega Genesis. This is the Sega Nomad, if you can see that. It comes with a plug and it also came with a battery pack that you can put on the back of it. But that you can actually play your Genesis games in this. This is the Sega Nomad, and I believe now today this is probably an expensive piece of hardware to have. But that's the Sega Genesis, the Nomad. And it was it was shaped kind of weird. Like the one side, it's like on a slope almost at the top. But it is a great handheld system. And they came out with other handheld systems that came by third and second party companies that made systems. I have one of those too, which is called the RetroGen. And that's this right here. That's another handheld where you can play. It's made by Retrobit, where you can play Sega Genesis games. But as I was saying, it was my favorite system, man. One of my favorite games on there was Streets of Rage 2. It is still near and dear to my heart. I have it in case, and I cannot wait for the new Streets of Rage to come out. I will have it day and date when it comes out. I'm very excited to play that. But I just have a lot of Genesis games, and anything that was Genesis, anything that was Sega, I have it. I don't have every single piece of Sega product that's out there. You know what I mean? But I have a lot, you know. And you've seen it in videos. From Sega CD, all my Sega CD games that you see here. You know what I mean? You've seen at the top, I have Sega Saturn stuff. You know what I mean? This is a lot of my Sega CD collection. You know what I mean? I love Sega, and I don't like what Sega is doing today. Me and a good comrade, game comrade, homie, have talked about it on the phone today. About it, we're gonna be doing a podcast soon, but it's just really changed, and it's kind of a shame. There's some games back there, if you could see, that I did in videos. But a lot of my games I do have complete, you know, and a lot of these games right now, they're not really expensive. You might find some in this collection that might be a little bit expensive today if you want it complete. If you notice when you go on Amazon and you want some of these games, it's just the disc. These hard case shells are hard to find complete, and if you do, it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more than what you would just pay for a disc for a game. Like maybe, you know, like Children of the Atom, you know, for the Sega Saturn, one of the best arcade ports ever. #1 arcade smash hit at the time. You know what I mean? And you got Panzer Dragoon 2. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Another hard game to find. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. You know, in case. It's probably going to be a hell of a lot more. You know what I mean? I've seen that for like $80, $90 at one time. You know what I mean? You know, games like that. You know? Like nobody thought they would ever, you know, Resident Evil, you know, on the Sega Saturn. Was another really great game, Clockwork Knight. Another awesome game on the Sega Saturn. You know what I mean? They had a lot of hits, you know what I mean? And it's too bad that what happened to them, you know? You got, you know, Contra here. Contra on the Sega Saturn. This is an expensive game. You know what I mean? But I got it cheap for $20. My friends owned it at a game shop, and they gave it to me for $20 at one time. They don't own it anymore. But, you know, when they did, I picked it up. But, you know, that's one of the reasons why I like, you know, I like the Sega Genesis. The Sega Genesis will always be my favorite console for life. But I love the Sega Saturn, and I love the Sega Dreamcast. You know what I mean? And I have a 32X. Hold on one second. Let's go to the other side of the room. Here you can see some of my 32X games that I have in box. And I do have some that are not in box also, you know. And, you know, like I got some tapes, you know, and stuff, you know, Star Wars, stuff like that. You know what I mean? What do we got here? There's another one here. Oh, yeah, this is Zaxxon 2000, another great game. You know what I mean? But, you know, a lot of these games, it took me a while to get. You know what I mean? Space Harrier, you know, great game for the Sega 32X. I mean, it did horribly. You know, it didn't do good. You know, you got the Knuckles Chaotix, which is another great game. You know, a good cheesy fighting game. Cosmic Carnage in the box, complete in the cardboard box, in very good condition. That was another good game there. And I would also like to give a shout out to, you know, E-Rock X, the Don King of Xbox. You know, he bought Mr. 100 and all those guys. J Long, Sega Forever, great guys. This is another good game. This is a very expensive game. I got it in box. Now in box, it's probably a hell of a lot more. I think I paid $35 for it in box at my exchange. But it is Calibri. It is a side-scrolling shooter, but you use some kind of bird. But it was very strange, and it was just very unique, and it was original because there is no other game out there, I think, today that was a side-scrolling shooter that actually used like a bird in the jungle. And, you know, and the graphics were great for the time, and the music was pretty decent. You know, it was pretty weird, you know what I mean? And I liked it, you know, because back then, to me, gaming was more innovative than what they're doing today. Everybody wants to do Battle Royale and, you know, and copy other people and not give them credit for their games and stuff like that and make money off them. You know, the gaming generation this year, I hate to say it, guys, is pretty sad. You know what I mean? It is. It's really sad and unfortunate how developers do each other and gamers in general do each other. True gamers don't do that. You know what I mean? The trolls out there. So, hold on 1 minute. Let's go take another look at my other side of the other collection I have. Alright, I'm back, guys. Downstairs here, you know, I don't have a whole lot of lighting, so I put the lighting on for this. But, you know, you have the Sega Master System collection right here. You know what I mean? One of the reasons why I'm also the Sega man. You know what I mean? I'm proud to call myself the Sega man because I love the things that Sega brought out in the olden days, in the old school days of gaming, because they brought out great games. You know what I mean? And it has great memories. You know, like a good shooter on there is the Aerial Assault. That's complete. You know, that's a great game there. A lot of people in the olden days, Alien Syndrome. That was another great game there. You know what I mean? You got the arcade hit Afterburner. That was good. They got their version here, and I have it on Genesis 2 of Double Dragon for the Master System. And then you have the card games right here. correct me if I'm wrong. I think this might have came out before the TurboGrafx 16. These card games, but they were pretty decent. This one here is called Transbot. That's a pretty decent game on there. Side-scrolling shooter. You know what I mean? And you know, I have games behind there. You know, too also that are complete. Rambo. You know, you know, baseball. Altered Beast. You know, a whole bunch of different games back there. Casino games. I collect them all. You know what I mean? No shame in my game. And, you know, I just love Sega, man. And another thing here, you know, like I collect for, which is a great system and will never, ever be forgotten, is the Dreamcast. All my Dreamcast games are up here. A lot of them are complete. Some of these games are very expensive now. You know what I mean? They're worth a lot of money, some of these games. You know what I mean? They're not like $500 or nothing like that, you know, extreme. But believe me, some of these games are up there in price. Like you got Plasma Sword. That was a great game for the Sega Dreamcast. You got Last Blade 2. That was another great game. You know what I mean? Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolf. Another great game for your Sega Dreamcast. You know what I mean? Capcom's SNK. You know? And one of the very gems on here, man, and as I think it's actually became very expensive, is Project Justice. This is a great game. I wish they would remake this game and put this on the Xbox. I would love to see this on the Xbox. This is a great game. And the store I got this from was actually a GameStop. You know, and this was in the clearance bin. This was in the clearance bin for $10. And now it's worth way, way more than that. You know what I mean? Because they were making room for the next gen systems. And I picked up all those games, man, that they had there. You know what I mean? It's a great game. But I just wanted to give you a little background history of me and why they call me a Sega man. And that's one of the reasons, because my heart is near and dear with Sega. I'm not really happy with what they're doing today. You know what I mean? But hopefully, maybe, I'm not sure, they might come back around. You know, I don't know. You know what I mean? But we'll end the video with this. I'm going to show you something else, and then I'm going to get going here. Give me one sec. I'm going to pause this. Alright guys, I'm back. This is a boxed original Sega Genesis right here. The original Sega Genesis is in there with everything inside. The box is a little wear and tear, but it's from the early 90s. But that is the original box that the Sega Genesis came in. And also got the original box for the 32X, which is right there. You know what I mean? The lady that sold it to me, she didn't want to give me the box. She wanted to keep it on display. And I said, no, I want the box, if you have it, with the system. I don't care if you charge me a little more. Why keep the box and you don't have the system anymore? It doesn't make any sense. So she gave me the box. And then that's a complete Genesis, Sega Genesis, in its original boxing. And they just don't make things like this no more. You know what I mean? You know, there's not a lot of, how you say, pride, I think, anymore in making like gaming, you know, gaming systems or the games themselves, or even the packaging like they used to do back in the day. You know what I mean? It's a little sad, you know what I mean? But maybe someday we'll come out of that. But I wanted to show you and tell you why I am the Sega man, and I will continue to collect for Sega, rather if it's digital or physical. I love Sega. Sega for life for me, you know, and Xbox for life for me. You know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, the nitty gritty, if you ask me, what would I prefer? Xbox or Sega? You know what it is, right? It's Sega. Alright guys, take it easy. Xbox for life. Sega Genesis for life. I'll talk to you later. Peace.